Certain lies stop founders growing their business without extractors. I'm going to take you through 5 today that I've seen time and time again when building and advising companies. Before we go into those 5 though, why does this occur? Why does someone give you lies in order to grow your business versus just tell you the truth for the best and possible outcome for you and them? Well, put it really simply. If you're a value extractor, you really struggle on when, how to create value. Maybe you actually can't do it. Maybe you just don't want to do it again. Maybe you're just a little bit lazier than you were the first time. Some of these, maybe someone's done it to you. So you're a founder that created a lot of value and then you turned into one. The philosophy behind it is really simple. You want to take something off someone before they realize what they have. And these lies come across in every situation that makes a founder own less and less of their business, especially as it's about to create a lot of value or is. Here are the 5 that I fell for and that you might fall for too, in hopes that you listen to this, think differently, and change the way you look at people and investors that you work with. Now, the first one is spend, raise a lot of capital and don't invest in partners. This is a really simple anti-theory of more capital, not distribution. So you're going to spend more money on advertising, salespeople, marketing, anything that could drive up acquisition of customers in order to grow extremely fast. Now, capital over partners is a really effective lie. And it's effective because why wouldn't you want a lot of money? Why wouldn't you want to raise at a value? All of a sudden, you're raising at a valuation on paper, you start to hit really big numbers. Everyone feels good. You feel good, your partner feels good, your staff feel good, your investors feel good. But by you raising that capital, you're giving up more that you own. And maybe you're spending money on things that you didn't really need and you would have grown anyway. A big focus of this too is that you ignore the market and its potential to distribute. So by having a distribution partner, your shareholders can have less input into your growth. That's something most of them, in particular in venture, don't really like. There's a lot of risk and time-consuming work that happens in a partner that they can't control. It's a lot easier for them to help you scale by just adding capital. So that's lie number 1. Grow and hyperscale through capital, not partners and distribution. That's why we never really hear about it. Lie number 2. Urgency always drives results. This is a tricky one. As a founder, you're almost always awarded for speed. Speed of execution, speed of decision, and speed of pivot. You're also awarded for speed in so many other places that aren't even worth getting into. When you start to grow and you get into a safe spot, your cash burn is either non-existent or you're profitable, and you can start to make strategic bets. This goal of urgency doesn't really work. Why is it a lie though? Well, urgency has no place in strategy. Patience is almost always rewarded for strategic players. You adopting an urgency persona is going to get you to drive and take more bets. And by taking more bets, you move from your founder class of visionary goal, bets along the way within its context, to gambling with investment rounds. So we raise a whole chunk of capital. What do we do with it? The only person that benefits from your bets going right or wrong are your investors. In both cases, their equity positions change. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but at least they own more of your company. The challenge with this too is if you drive so fast into these raises and you over-raise, and then you spend it, all of a sudden you have a burn rate that you can't really control or you can't really deal with, and then you need them even more. So your terms for any up sort of bridge capital or follow-up capital all of a sudden melt away. Now, this urgency is a lie because you're always pushed to grow, raise faster in order to hit sort of this yield curve. But it doesn't have to be that way. By pushing urgency, always driving results, if we were to move strategically to grow our business the right way or in the way that it's needed to in order to sustain what it does and truly create value, we might find that a partnership is a better goal, and that requires a lot more patience. We might also find that finding a strategic investor is a better goal, and that too also requires a lot of patience. The reason that we're pushed for urgency is that it's easy for us to move into a gambler role, and moving into a gambler role puts us even closer to value extractors and makes us feel comfortable. One of the reasons why it's such an easy and nice lie for you to adopt is that you have always been rewarded for urgency. It's kept you alive. But moving strategically, urgency has no place. Patience should be rewarded. The third lie is that scalable processes or repeatable processes scale companies. Processes scale companies. Processes scale companies. Not really, though. Leadership, vision, values, attracting top talent, all of those things have a better impact on your organization. Now, why would someone really drive the fact of processes scaling companies? Well, really simply, if there are a lot of processes and the bureaucracy is well established, it might feel like there's less and less need for the creative person. Not the case, but it can appear the case. The good thing about processes and why it's such a nice lie is that one thing creators do is when they create something, they want other people to be able to create the same response or create the same value. But there's something innate about how we create things that's always forgotten. There are always rituals that change the mindset around the person doing the creating. So processes don't always suffice. And then once you have processes, you need managers to manage them. And then all of a sudden, you've got a business of professional managers managing processes. But the leadership value, the creativity value, the rituals that the creative applies, and the values in which the company works may have been forgotten. Now, this is a really nice, effective lie because it feels good to create a process. It does feel good because it gives you a feeling of control. The problem with this is it doesn't actually scale companies. It probably slows them down and makes them more bloated. And you can spend a lot of your time managing and operating processes versus creating value and building a business. All of that to mean that you will spend more on operating costs, which puts you right in the hand of value extractors and their professional managers that could be advising you. The next lie, lie number 4, is the really simple lie, and this one's got me a few times, is you don't really want to be a CEO. You don't really want to be a CEO. You don't really want to be a CEO. Don't you want to be out in front, right in the market and creating stuff? You don't want to be a CEO. Your business should be bulletproof. That means it can function without you. That's how you get the highest value. It is a brutal lie. It is a brutal lie because it undermines the leader in the organization and its spirit. The person that protects the belief system that actually got the company to where it was is now being told they're not needed. It's simply a system of processes, bureaucrats, and managers and operators getting things done. It is a beautiful lie because I haven't met one creative that really likes managing a bureaucracy or any form of system or any form of ritual. No one really says to them either, you need to be the CEO. We need you to be the CEO. This company's brand needs you to be the CEO. This company needs to drive one step closer to its vision. And that's why you're in charge. It is such a lofty goal. We need you to be the CEO. You're going to work harder than anyone else. We need you to be the CEO. None of those things are said or even rarely said. So the idea that you shouldn't be the CEO is a lie that's always built up in your mind. And of course, if you have a founder that's created exceptional value going, I don't really want to be the CEO, it's well placed to put an operating partner in or an operating executive from one of your investors or one of those value extractor types, and then all of a sudden you've lost the leadership seat in your company because you didn't think you didn't want to do the job. But what no one told you is, hey man, or hey lady, it's your company. Lead it how you want, drive it towards the vision, and your leadership is important. We need you to lead. The last lie, or lie number 5, is that you need product market fit first before you really do anything valuable. This is one that's really driven by those investors that sit between pre-seed, seed, and Series A. You need product market fit. Okay. Well, how do you do that if you don't have any customers? And how do you do that if you don't have time with the customers? And how do you do that when you don't really have few people? This is a big one. In some cases, why it's such a nice lie is that the companies that are really held tight and spend more time delivering and delivering until they find the fit generally produce beautiful products. But on closer inspection on most of those companies, most of them are second or third time founders. 2, they already have a stable income that's not the business. And 3, they've given themselves a lot more time for their additional business venture. What's really not said to first time founders though is you better fucking figure it out. Like, you don't need to wait for product market fit. If you need a strategic investor in order to get product market fit, maybe you need it. Maybe you need a distribution partner to get product market fit. Maybe you need to raise capital to hire the person that can get you the strategic customer or a partnership to get you product market fit. It's one of those things that really, really holds you back. And what it does and why it's a lie is that when you raise capital, you approach raising capital, even at an early stage, as a checklist. And by giving a checklist from the people that say, hey, this is what you need to do in order for you to raise capital, it does 2 things. 1, it makes you forget what you are. You're a value creator. They're an extractor. They are not working fucking hard. You are. You are. That's why they're investing. They don't want to do the work. Don't forget that. It is an easy way to make wealthy, like to get wealthy by investing other people's money and maybe your own, if you've been lucky. But most of the time, they don't want to do the hard work. You do that. So that sort of idea leads to a checklist that makes you doubt what you're actually doing, can attract someone that can take a bet on you. And it holds you back. It holds you back in your investment meetings. It holds you back in your investment approach. And it holds you back from treating it as you're applying for capital versus you're vetting out investors. The second thing that this idea does is it puts you in a frame that every company needs to be built the same. You're a value creator. You can create value any path that you like. Every company can have a completely different path. You might not even be interested in this type of approach in investors. For me personally, I couldn't get product market fit until I had a strategic partnership because I couldn't get access to the end clients through a trustworthy way because there just wasn't enough time to get there. We couldn't raise enough money to get us time to get there. We were first-time founders, never built what we've built before, whether software or psychometrics. We knew it was working, but we couldn't prove it. So if we'd waited for product market fit, we wouldn't have had a business, and it definitely wouldn't have got to 8 figures. The reason why this is such a nice lie is that building companies and creating value is extremely chaotic. And people that control the chaos by sort of giving you money are trying to limit the chaos. What I suggest to you is that if you're a creative person, you're generally stronger in the chaos. So lean into it. Craft your own path. You don't need product market fit to raise capital. You don't need product market fit to get a strategic customer. All you really need is an unfair advantage. The one thing that you can do that no one else can do that creates value that can't be repeated. These lies are tricky, and there are probably a lot more. But my top 5 lies that stop founders from creating value and getting them in position where an extractor can come in and just take your business off you are the following. Capital helps you grow over partners. For me, partners are a way better option, which is why you're here. 2, urgency over patience. Huge lie. 3, process, not leadership, scales companies. Just not true. 4, you don't want to be the CEO versus we need you to be the CEO because we're doing something visionary. And 5, you need product market fit in order to grow. No, every business can have its own journey, especially if it's led by a creator. They're my top 5 lies that stop value creators growing their business without the reliance of extractors. In our next session, we are going to cover the mindsets that help you drop those lies and help you become a great partner and see an alternative path where you can grow through strategic partners and keeping a shitload of your equity in the same stage.